How are you today? Today's review is an Irish whiskey. Green Spot, single pot still Irish whiskey. Now, you're hearing the word pot still and you might be confused. What is pot still? Pot still whiskey is a style of Irish whiskey where the mash bill is malted and unmalted barley produced at a single distillery. So a pot still whiskey would be a single malt whiskey, but for the fact that there's some unmalted barley in the mash bill. And today's is Green Spot, which is a very good Irish whiskey, not cheap. I paid in Canada for this $85. And as you can see, I have hardly any left. Bought this bottle in the springtime, and my friends were over one night, two fellas and myself, and they drank like 3/4 of it, so I had very little left, and I wanted to do a review, and I'm only doing a review now. So I sipped this the night before to continue with my tasting notes, and I find that this whiskey teaches me a lesson. And the lesson is that, you know, when you get a bottle and you open it, you should enjoy it rather quickly. Not in a single night or a single week or anything like that. Otherwise, instead of Green Spot, you might be drinking Yellow Spot with the spots you'd be making. But you want to consume your bottle of whiskey, I think, ideally in 60 to 90 days. Because after that, the oxidation, the oxygen in the bottle will really play with the flavors, and usually to the detriment of your enjoyment. Higher alcohol by volume whiskeys are more impervious to the effect of oxygen. Anyway, having said that, now we're going to look at this little gem. Now on the nose, you get lots of apple, lemon, orange, ginger. It's good. And let's try it now. Very mouth coating. You're going to taste pear, apple, sesame seed snacks. I don't know if they're available where you live, but they're like made in Poland, these little briquettes of sesame seed in a honey mixture. That comes to mind. Definitely I can taste the oak, or not the oak, the sherry and bourbon casks that were used to produce Green Spot. Green Spot is aged, although there's no age statement. I think on their website they say that the age of this whiskey is between 7 and 10 years. I've read elsewhere some connoisseurs who think they know the inside track on the company that produces it, that it's really 8 to 9 years. I don't care. This is a good whiskey. This is, if you like, Redbreast. It is comparable in quality to Redbreast, probably better actually, and Redbreast is at least more affordable in Canada than this. Now for the finish. Clean lemons, honey, nice spices. This is good whiskey. You know, it's aged in, getting back to what it's aged in, sherry casks, new bourbon casks, and refill bourbon casks. And I think 25% of the aging of the whiskey is just in sherry casks alone. And then the distillery, Middleton in Cork in Ireland, blends all of the whiskeys that are aged in different barrels to produce this. Now, there are other, besides Green Spot, there's Yellow Spot, apparently a Red Spot, and a Blue Spot. And how it got its name was the original producers, I think this bottle started to appear in the 1920s. And at that time, Green Spot got its name from the habit of the producers to mark barrels with daubs or spots of paint, dependent on the age. And the most popular has been the Green Spot, and others were Yellow Spot and whatnot. I really like this whiskey, and it was fantastic when I first opened the bottle. My friends loved it and devoured it that night, and I really don't have anything critical to say, although I can taste it's getting slightly off because it's been open a long time, and as you can see there was virtually none left in it, so it's mostly air. This is a good Irish whiskey. If you're not familiar with Irish whiskey and want to know what all the buzz is about, do try this. It's important to note it's not peated, not what I would call particularly smoky. Actually, it's not smoky at all, and you can't go wrong with a little green spot. So it doesn't have to be Irish Days, or what is that day with the leprechauns and all that? I can't remember it now. St. Patrick's Day. It doesn't need to be St. Patrick's Day to enjoy a little Irish cheer. Cheers.